Happy Australia Day to everyone watching. I hope you've all spent the day celebrating this amazing country. Now, that sentence has unfortunately become controversial. A big reason for that is cowardly CEOs and business elites who seek to monetize political sentiment and create artificial goodwill for their companies. Well, for the last few weeks, that media strategy has backfired for at least one half of our grocery sector, Woolworths. Woolworths CEO Brad Banducci axed the sale of Australia Day merchandise, claiming that poor sales were behind the decision. No one believes that for a moment, but more evidence on that later. The problem that Brad has is one of his own making. He has a position of immense privilege and responsibility, and he underestimated how much pride the public has for its nation. But even worse is his attempt to spin the story.
So I guess everyone wants to know what your issue is with Australia Day then.
Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Carl. We felt that the way we can contribute to a great Australia Day long weekend is focusing on the things we do best, which is food.
Okay, so Australia Day isn't about food. This guy is clueless, and Carl Stefanovic wasn't having any of it.
People want to go to Woolworths and they want to shop. They don't want wokeness in aisle 3. And that's what you've served up this week.
I would completely disagree on that, Carl. We've served up a focus on what we think we need to do best in the most meaningful way we can contribute to our customers and how they choose to mark or celebrate every event, particularly including Australia Day.
So you're saying, Brad, you're saying categorically that the removal of the Australia Day merch was just an economic decision, nothing more.
Carl, we made this decision almost 12 months ago because most of it is imported into Australia. And let's be honest, you should have how much do all the people watching this buy? And if you do buy it, how much do you have in your cupboard from last year that you may intend to use this year?
Yeah, but hang on.
It's not about anything.
If you're going to stop stocking stuff that you imported from overseas,
exactly.
There wouldn't be anything left on your shelves.
Yeah.
Clearly, the decision was made when this joker thought the voice would pass, and he's trying to pretend it was due to anticipated poor sales. But he was caught out in a lie. In an attempt to damage control his terrible leadership, Brad wrote this to staff later in the week. Why do we put banners up for other cultural events, days of the significance like the Lunar New Year or Diwali, but not our own national day, he wrote to staff. Celebrations like Diwali and the Lunar New Year are often centred around connection over food. And as a business, we are committed to supporting events and occasions like this for our customers and team. Incredible. He thinks people don't celebrate Australia Day with food, as if a snag in white bread isn't one of the greatest culinary experiences an Australian can have. This fool is now being called on to resign, and it is a crisis entirely of his own making. Kel, a lot to unpack in that, but This is also the story of a CEO who thought he was so clever that he could handle the messaging, he could spin the message, he could talk his way out of a decision which simply just should have been dealt with. Sorry, we'll put him back.
Exactly. And I don't think he anticipated the strength of the reaction. He just does not understand this country. He does not understand the love we have for this country. If he was right about food, he would have taken Vegemite off the shelves, right? Because if he's really not going to celebrate Australia, you can't sell Lamingtons and you can't sell Sayo biscuits and you can't sell Vegemite because they're Australian foods and we love Australia and we love everything about Australia. Take away the aeroplane jelly if you want to take... Look, everything he said was incoherent. It makes no sense. And I just think he was overwhelmed and surprised by an unexpected reaction. He just does not, because Americans are very big about this. They wear their patriotism on their sleeve. They advertise it. There are flags in people's front yards. We are quieter and less noisy about our patriotism. So he said, they don't love their country after all. Sorry, Brad, you were wrong.
I think he also thinks he thinks he's smarter than he actually is. And Sophie, in his stories, his explanations kept changing. It shifted from, well, there are poor sales, we get a lot of leftover merchandise, to being, well, it's actually not a food-centred object, and we're a food-centred business, which is ludicrous. I mean, Kel already pointed out Lamingtons and then all sorts of food items which are a hallmark of Australia Day. I think that's where these CEOs get caught out. Sometimes it doesn't help if you have yes men all around you telling you you're amazing. Sometimes if you make a mistake, you just have to cop it.
Well, Jack, as you pointed out, today is Australia Day, and there'll be millions of Australians actually celebrating this great country, firstly. And they should be able to do that without being told by corporates whether or not they can or cannot purchase certain goods. Secondly, I don't know why people are calling him Brad. He's Mr. Banducci. He's come out with this first name like he's Madonna or Sting or something. I'm not quite sure why that is the case. And thirdly, yes, we love a sausage in bread, Jack. And it is, a great day to celebrate for many of us who are proud to be Australians. And we should not be treated like we should be feeling bad about ourselves because today is Australia Day. So this is actually a very good case for corporates to learn about crisis communications, because from the beginning to the end, Woolworths have handled this absolutely atrociously. Their messaging is not straight, and it doesn't make sense. So this has caused them more harm than good. They've had to take full-page ads out and pay in newspapers all across the country trying to explain their ridiculous position. And I think there'll be a lot of people inside Woolworths regretting this, as they did when they put up on their Big W speakers pro-voice messaging, which they subsequently removed. So this has been an absolute train wreck, corporate affairs disaster for Woolworths.
Well said.